We've got an Urban Cruiser electric bike here. The back brakes are not working very well. Tend to not really give you much stopping power and squeak when they're applied. The rotor disc here looks fairly good. It's not scratched up. Seems to be in good shape. But the brakes, upon removing the caliper unit, they appear to be perhaps glazed slightly on the pads. So the first thing I'm going to try is to take that glazing off there and put this unit back on the bike and see if there is any improvement. Now over here on the workbench, I found a piece of metal, thin metal. I think it's about 60 thou. I'm going to measure that shortly and confirm that. But it will fit nicely between those pads. And I'm going to take some 150 grit sandpaper and I'm going to glue it on here. I'm going to cut those pieces out the same size as this so that I can then use it to take the glazing off the pads. I've already stuck some sandpaper onto this side, and I've just stuck the two-sided tape onto the other side. And we'll just peel that off and stick the other piece of sandpaper, the 150 grit, onto this side. And that looks pretty good. There's a little bit of sticky tape just sticking out there. Got it. And now we've got a paddle that we can use to clean those pads up, hopefully. I just checked and our paddle does fit in here, like so. It's a little tight, but it's okay. And if you just rub it back and forth, one side and then the other. And we do seem to be taking off some material here. Hopefully that will improve the grab on these brakes and we'll be good to go. We are getting some stuff off of there. Now I've got a piece of rag soaked in some acetone. I'm going to try to clean up the disc in case there's anything on that. It would be ideal if I could turn the bike wheel and get at everything here, but since I don't have a bike stand, I'm limited a little bit. And I can see a lot of dirt coming off of that, so we've cleaned it up a little bit. When you're trying to put this back on and center it on here, there are a couple of little levers, or I don't know what you want to call them, but see if I can get my other finger in there. See how they jump back? They jump back when you press them in. Now when you get this on the bike, you can squeeze one and then the other, and if one is tight, that means it's not centered. They both have to jump back a little bit when you press on them, and you're close to center. Okay, here's the two little things we were talking about. If you push it in, see how it jumps back there? And on this side, it jumps back again. That means you're pretty close to center, and you can go ahead and tighten up on the screws that hold that right here and down here also. After working on the bike, I took it for a test ride, and the braking on the rear did seem to improve, probably about 50% improvement, but still nowhere near as good as the front brake. So now I've put this between a couple of soft jaws in the vise, and I've taken an Allen wrench and removed these two screws allowing me to take it apart and have a look at what we're doing here. You can see where I've tried to clean it up, hopefully. These are magnetized and just pull out like that. That little magnet holds them in place when they're down. So I'm going to try to clean these up further and give it another shot, and we'll see what happens. Well, I am cleaning these on the same sandpaper. Circular motion, even pressure on both sides, and it's very important that this be a smooth surface, as smooth as you can get it, and it doesn't come much smoother than a surface plate. And it looks like it's cleaned up fairly evenly all the way across. We'll do this to the other one and remount everything. Before I assembled this, I checked to make sure that the face of the pads were square to the fixtures they're mounted in, and the error there was 6/10,000ths, which is really darn good. But now that I've assembled everything, I've taken this sanding tool that I had made, and when I first push it in here, it's nice and loose. When I get to the other side, it gets tight. So right now what I'm doing is I've adjusted this screw here, which moves one of the pads, so that it's fairly tight against the paper, and then I'm taking the paper and running it back and forth so that they'll be square. The surface of the pads will be square to the disc itself on the bike. And right now it's looking pretty good. Just doing this seems to have squared things up because it goes through with the same pressure from one side to the other. And then you may have to open this again in order to make room for the actual disc to go in there. Well, I just gave the bike another test drive, and I'm pleased with the amount of braking power that I have on that rear brake. So what I did improved things and should probably work in any similar instance.